MyJoogTV. We pair our favorite musicians with makers of wines, beers, spirits. Basically, if you can ferment it, we love to talk about it. And today we're filming from the middle of the state of Maryland, just outside of Mount Airy at Black Ankle Vineyards. And yes, to my good friends in Virginia, they do make some fine wines in Maryland, and Black Ankle is one of the leading causes of that trend. And we're very pleased to have one of the co-owners, Ed Boyce, with us. So thank you, Ed. And Ed's actually taking time off from doing some pressing today. And at the end of the week, they host a Friday night Fireside Fridays concert series where they bring in local musicians. And tonight's performer is Uncle Dave Hoover. So thank you, Uncle Dave.
You're welcome.
And so Ed, we'll start with you. Black Ankle is a relatively new winery.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about why you decided to build a winery and why specifically this area.
My wife and I have done this all together since we started, and we both love wine. And it's sort of a hobby gone out of control, I guess. And we were looking for something else to do with our lives, and hit on the idea of wine. We weren't sure we could make great wine here in Maryland because this is where we're based, and our family's here, our kids are here, so we decided we were going to try to stay here, and we went around the world: New Zealand, France, Italy, Australia, Chile, California, up and down the East Coast, talking to wineries and vineyards everywhere, trying to discover what you need to do to make great wine. And finally we decided, you know what, Maryland probably has what it takes. So spent a year looking for a site, because one thing we learned in our travels is soil is really, really important. We found, after looking at over 100 farms, we found one we thought had the right soils for what we're doing, and here we are. That was 2001, and now we are in 2010.
So what I found really impressive is right from the get-go, right out of the gate, you guys are making very impressive wines, and they've only gotten better for the 2-3 years that you've had vintages here. You got 2 Governor's Cup. You have many awards from your other wines. This spring at the Drink Local Wine Conference in Leesburg, Kevin Addicks brought some of your wine down, and all the fellow wine writers and bloggers, were raving about your wines. And
Thank you.
What do you think really helped you to say, out of the box, we're going to make impressive wines?
I think we started with that idea in mind. We did a lot of research to find out how to do it. So it starts with, as I said, looking for the right site. We have vines are a strange creature. They if you put them in a great soil that can grow lots of corn, you get a huge vine, very few grapes, and they won't get very ripe. If you put them in a soil that's got no nutrition in it, that doesn't hold much water, that's droughty, it's awful, on a slope with lots of rock, you get tiny little vines, but they create lots of grapes and they get really ripe. The idea is you sort of convince them that they might not survive, so they better put their effort into their children and create as many as they can. It starts with that.
Yeah. Well, the unique area about this site is when you're driving in, it's all woods. Did you actually take aerial views of the area and say, where are the parcels? Because when you're driving in, you just see woods, and then all of a sudden it opens up to this beautiful vineyard behind us.
No, we didn't. We didn't do anything aerial. We had maps of the area, and we looked at different farms, but no, really, it was a process of looking at a lot of different places and getting some clues about what kind of soil could be there, and then talking to the local farmers who know how much fertilizer you need and to really grow something, and then finding this place.
Now, I also noticed just outside here you have cattle grazing. Is that part of the
your cattle? It is. Those are our cattle. We subscribe to something called biodynamics. It's long to go into. We are not certified biodynamic because there are 1 or 2 problems we haven't figured out how to do, but it's sort of it's the forerunner of organics, actually. It's where organics came from. But part of it is you try to use what you have. Try to make your farm a closed system if you can. And so our cows, we have a herd of, I think it's 9 or 10 right now, beef cattle. We take their manure, we compost that, we spread that onto the vines. It's another way of bringing our fertility from here it's also the reason that this tasting room is what it is. It's all built from materials on this farm. We said, well, if we're going to build a building, we're going to try to use what we have and not bring things in the building.
And that was interesting because we were just talking about earlier. What we're sitting on is actually bales of hay.
Yes.
Yeah, so
yes.
it's pretty interesting.
Very awesome.
Plastered with dirt.
And and actually the whole biodynamics. If you want to learn more, Paul Dolan is probably one of the
I know
biggest
Paul.
experts.
Yeah.
So you can find his website out in California. I think he's in Mendocino. So Uncle Dave, one thing I found impressive with you when I first heard you play about a year ago, and I go listen to you, and here's a young guy playing not only acoustic blues, but acoustic blues of 50 to 60 years ago. I mean, just something I was expecting somebody much older to be playing.
Right.
And I was very impressed and surprised to see somebody so young playing that. And so how did you get into first the blues, and then how did you? I wasn't going to say regress, but just go, work your way backwards to the actual, original artist.
Right. Well, that's I've gotten that question quite a bit, and I don't have any real definitive answer. I mean, the path that I followed, I'm a big fan of roots music. I enjoy listening to it, and getting into like Bob Dylan and listening to his influences.
So you listen to her earlier work, and then you go
right, and just keep going back. But even Dylan was a little bit old for me. And I think it was just I like the songwriting, and I like that era of songwriting, and then just going back into the influences of those 1960s folk performers, and that was an interesting time in American music, the 60s, with the folk revival and all that.
And finding these old blues musicians where they finally were able to find and bring them back and start playing at the Newport festivals, Newport Folk Festival. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and going, and just having that like authentic sound. I mean, I don't like. I do my best when it comes to blues, and I have kind of my own twist on the acoustic blues, but I do enjoy, that's what I enjoy listening to.
Yeah.
So,
so it was really a surprise for me to go in. I think the first song I heard you play was Lead Belly, and then it was followed by probably a Dylan, probably a Mississippi John Hurt, and I was just like, wow, it's nice to see that these classic songs, were still being revived from the young. But so I consider you a younger generation. But what about your contemporaries? Do you find that it's hard passing that music on to them, or do you actually have to play? Obviously tonight will be an older crowd.
Right.
Do you find yourself more playing for an older crowd?
On occasion, yeah. But I think that the music has kind of opened up in a lot of ways with the internet, and that I think it's more of like a niche kind of thing now, where everyone has their own kind of style that they're going for, as opposed to what is popular at the time. So because pop music has kind of separated itself from the rest of the indie music scene, and all that stuff. And there's a lot of artists out there, doing what they like to do. So,
so you can say there's starting to be more of the younger audience are starting to enjoy the blues.
Right. Oh, yeah. I mean, I would think so. Yeah, but I'm not 100% sure. I mean, there's, like I said, there's a lot of different tastes out there of different music. So I can't guarantee anything. But.
And also there's a lot of different tastes in wine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What I really find interesting with Black Ankle is, being originally from Maryland, going to wine festivals here. I would think it's safe to say that this has traditionally been a sweet wine drinker area, and the wineries here, most of them within their portfolio, they will have a range from dry to sweet to satisfy that market. Whereas you came up with a different model where your wines are all vinifera, there's no hybrids, and they're all dry. So you basically broken. I think you're probably one of the first wineries to say we're going to go all dry, All from
Yeah,
the Syrah.
we are the first, and grow
And
grow
the
all
other,
our own
yes,
grapes.
and I would say you're the only estate winery where you get all the. You're the only winery in the state that actually get all their grapes right from outside our doors here.
I always tell everyone that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's farming. Farming is why we got into this. To me, a wine is interesting if it comes from somewhere. It has to have a sense of, well, you can have a great tomato, but you don't talk about where it was grown, or you say, wow, maybe it's a great variety of tomato. But when you have a wine, it's always a Napa wine or a Bordeaux or a Maryland, and that's what's interesting to me. So if we start making wine from other people's grapes, we lose that connection of what we are. So, and as far as our business model, we believe in doing one thing and do it well. So the wineries that make sweet wine, great. We're doing this. There's a winery in Virginia now that makes nothing but sparkling wine. It's great.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. What a lot of wineries do with their model is they plant the grapes, they build a big tasting room, then they have to import grapes just to be able to have wines. But what you did is you waited until your vines matured so you could bottle your wines, then you built the tasting room, then you said we're open for business. So from day one, it was purely Black Ankle wines.
Well, I tell you, it's tempting, but to buy some grapes and make some wine, but we figured you only get one chance to make a first impression.
Yeah.
Let's make that first impression who we are, which is our own grapes, our own wine.
Yeah. And like I said, this is actually Dave and I were talking earlier. This is definitely not your festival wine where people, would go. This is like if we could turn the camera around today to see the tasting room. It's people to come here and sit down. There's plenty of food out here, and this is wine for the sit down social atmosphere.
And I'm glad you mentioned wine for food. We try very hard to make wines that go well with food, and that tends to be the traditional dry wines, the natural food.
Yeah. So what about we were talking earlier. You definitely like the drier wines.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But traditionally, have you been a wine drinker? When is your first time that you actually started drinking wine?
I'm not a real wine drinker. Like I probably a couple of years ago I started to migrate towards wine as opposed to whiskey.
Wait, that's the booze,
right. But I don't consider myself a wine drinker. Like although I do
what I
drink
think is interesting is that you automatically initially like the drier wines, whereas a lot of people, there's a progression where they start out with the sweeter wines and slowly get to the semi-dry and slowly work up. It's sort of like their palate changes, but you right away,
Well, I think it's just I don't like sweet things. I like regular coffee and I don't like sweet.
So you're the modern wine drinker.
Yeah.
So speaking of, what wines do we have here? We have three of yours.
We have the Viognier, the white on your left, and then we've got the Rolling Hills, our 2008 Rolling Hills Bordeaux blend, Merlot predominantly this year, but changes year to year. And then our reserve Leafstone Syrah, named best Syrah on the East Coast, and
that's the present. It's and how does the Syrah sell? I mean, is that
we're almost sold out. It's been less than a year, and we're almost sold out of the vintage. And it's an expensive wine for Maryland.
Yeah.
I mean, for California, in the middle of the pack maybe, but for out here.
And a story I've heard a number of winemakers say is that it's a wine that winemakers love to make because they love Syrah, but it's hard selling just because of name recognition.
I think that's true. I think there's also a fight for the soul of Syrah right now. There are those who want it to be big and jammy and fruity like the Australian Shiraz is, and there are those who want it to be more restrained and earthy like the French.
Right, it's the
and they're very
style.
different.
Yeah.
They're very different, and so you've got it's hard to please. It's a wine that doesn't do well in contests for that reason. Even there are critics who want it to be a big fruity one, and others who want it to be the opposite, and you can't please them both.
Right.
We're small enough that our wines are pretty much hand sold or sold by word of the mouth. And for us, we've decided from the beginning we're just going to make the best wine we can, and then we'll figure out how to sell it.
Right.
And so we're actually expanding our plantings of Syrah significantly because we love how it's doing here. So.
And this is definitely an old world style wine. I mean, it's really nice. You can tell, you can just taste the pepper, the earth.
Yeah,
Really nice.
I'm a big fan of Syrah myself.
And
So
it's nice.
that's
You
part
have
of it.
you have two classic. You have two Rhone varieties of grapes. So you have the varietal Viognier, the varietal Syrah. And now it's also it's neat that you do the Bordeaux blends.
Yep.
Whereas a lot of wineries in America, they take the Bordeaux grapes, the Cabernets, the Merlots, and they bottle them as single varietals. Some of it because people like it, others because it's easier to market in.
Right.
Whereas in Bordeaux, they don't even know what a single varietal is. Everything is blended, and so I think you've really carried on that tradition not only with this one but also with the Crumbling Rock, which is your most esteemed wine.
Yes, and we'll always blend. We won't make Syrah is different. We can make a varietal of it, but the Bordeaux ones we won't make a Merlot or a Cab Franc. It's all 1 + 1 is 3. It always is.
Right. Have you ever thought about doing indigenous? Do you ever like indigenous grapes?
Yeah, there are indigenous grapes I would love to grow. The problem is that the indigenous grapes, the grapes that were indigenous to Europe 10,000 years ago got domesticated, and everybody's been selecting them and selecting them to be better and better and better for 10,000 years.
Yeah.
We don't have that with our indigenous grapes.
Right, that is true.
Which is too bad because they're better suited to our environment in a lot of ways for growing. But we need, maybe not 10,000 years, but we need a long time to breed the things we want into them instead of the things they want. And so it's really a wine quality issue for me. I would love to grow them.
Now your Viognier, this is very nice. I'm living in Virginia now. Virginia Viognier does really well in Virginia. Yes. So this has a little buttery feel to it. Is it malolactic fermentation?
That's interesting. No, this is a very simply made wine. No barrels, no malolactic.
It has a lot of depth and just this feel from it that you usually wouldn't get from just a wine traditionally aged in steel.
What we do is we work our lees. Lees is the dead yeasts after they've finished the fermentation there. And we are we're big believers in keeping our lees in. We don't want clean wines. We make very dirty wines. We clean them out at the end before we bottle them, but their whole life they're dirty. All that lees is in there, and we stir them, and as those yeast break down, they create a richness and a creaminess to a wine that you can also get through malolactic fermentation somewhere, or you can get through barrel fermentation. We like this way because it preserves the freshness of the wine. It doesn't. It allows us to let the wines get riper on the vine without losing acidity, because we're not losing acidity in malolactic. It allows us to do a lot of things differently along the way that we like. And when I first fell in love with Viogniers from Condrieu and the Rhone Valley, what I fell in love with was the notes. To me, a Viognier is a wine that's about aromas, and it should. A beautifully made Viognier will smell like wildflowers and tropical fruits, and it'll be, you had me from hello on that wine. It's more about that, and that's what we're trying to get to at Black Ankle. It's taken us a little while to get these vines established, actually, because our site is so the soil is so poor, and this is not a particularly vigorous vine. So on year 7 now, they're about where the leaf coverage is about where we want it to be.
And that's another interesting point you just brought up, is that this is, starting a winery is an investment in time, because you plant these and you got to wait 3 years for the grapes to come in. Then you have to wait another, you got to wait another 3 or 4 years just to, maybe 1 year was bad, maybe another year was bad, and so it really takes, you're looking at a 7 to 10 year investment for each type of grape that you plant, just to see is this the right place for it.
Yeah, we're planting 19 new acres next year. We started planting a year ago. We'll have some wine from that in 2014. So it's a business of patience. Unfortunately, a business of capital, because we have to pay all the money up front now. You can't be in this business without patience. But look what you get at the end of the day. It's great. It's worth it.
So worth after a day of pressing and racking and coming in and having lots of this.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
So Dave, you also, you got to spend a lot of time talking about practicing and getting, not only just for you, learning some of these old style blues, learning how they pick, how they play, to get that feel. Then you go off, you learn the covers, and you actually bring that listening to, you actually just released a new CD with another band you played with on
Right,
your show.
right.
And what I find impressive is that a lot of your original music has the same themes as those old style songs. And so you're listening to it, and if you didn't know the artist, you would think that these songs were written 50 years ago. And so, there has to be some time that you have spent studying the classics and just getting that frame of mind.
Yeah, you definitely have to just study up on how like songs are crafted and everything, and I definitely spend a lot of time working on that. And when it comes to like acoustic blues, definitely that is pretty time intensive when it comes to the technique of that. And as far as songwriting goes, I kind of go with what's natural. I spend a lot of time writing as well, but that's sort of a different, I guess, aspect of.
But when you play some of the when you learn the songs from one of the classics like Lead Belly or Mississippi John Hurt, I know Mississippi John Hurt has his own playing style. Do you actually play that way? You actually pick up and say, this is how. And first of all, like I've heard of Mississippi John Hurt, he plays a little bit with the bass differently than I guess the treble or the melody part.
Right.
But how do you learn it? Do you just get a video and say, or is it word of mouth? Do you watch somebody else do it?
Well, yeah, they can. I think a while ago, it's gotten a lot easier to do that now, because you can watch people play that style. Other people who are doing it around the world. But mostly just by listening and kind of understanding how it's done by research. Just kind of going and.
Well, I understand you got your guitar here, and I know Mississippi John Hurt had a specific style of playing. So can you show us exactly how that?
Sure, yeah. Will do, yeah. Yeah, just want me to play something, or?
Yeah, just.
Sure. Yeah, I mean a little bit different than your typical strumming. Just with the thumb alternating between two bass notes, and then plucking out the melody with the fingers. And that came sort of naturally to me because I studied classical guitar and I had the finger style down ahead of time. So it was just a pretty natural progression to do Mississippi John Hurt's songs, because he is a finger style player as opposed to a flat picker. And
that's one thing I love about his music. It's just so crisp and clean. When he's picking, you can really hear all the notes.
Right. Yeah. You can hear that melody line pretty clearly, as opposed to like some of the other Delta blues players that are a little bit just kind of slapping the guitar, laying down more of a groove. He's got like this is Spike Driver's blues with alternating bass. So that was the first, the run through, and just alternating between the low bass strings and then picking it up in picking up melody up top.
That's pretty cool.
Strings, yeah.
That is really cool. So we'll watch that later on today when you're playing tonight.
Yeah, for sure.
So anything we should look forward to coming up here? Any new vintages that anybody should?
Oh yeah, we've got a few surprises that I won't talk about, but some new wines coming out in a few weeks, and then the new Crumbling Rock, the new Syrah's coming out soon, and other than that, we're just hoping to get this vintage in. So beautiful vintage so far. So we can hold off any hurricanes and things, and it'll be a real nice year.
Might be like 2007 or close.
Have you had any bad storms in the past?
Yeah, storm-wise, we had a real bad storm last week. We had a tornado go within about a quarter mile from here.
Oh, wow.
And the wind was going two directions at once, and it was a little wild. We got 4 inches of rain in a day, but we can survive those things.
And I know you have a couple shows coming up.
Right.
So if somebody wanted to see your shows, where would they go? It's a good time to plug your website.
Yeah. UncleDaveHuber.com. That's got all the latest info on the shows. I play a lot in Baltimore, so chances are I'll be there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for a couple songs from Uncle Dave, and we'll see you next time on MyJoogTV. Okay, we're good.
This is an original song. It's called Long Time Ago. Cigarette smoke swirls in the wind, and I'm trying to get out of here. I never had to leave this place before, but now the wolves have knocked down my door. I'm awake at the dawn, my darling is gone, a long time gone. Her cries echo down in the valley below, where the purple blossoms bloom and the waters flow. I work all day, I can't see the light. I got trapped in a web on a midsummer's night. I'm awake at the dawn, the darling is gone, a long time gone. Strum a Spanish guitar as her voice echoes through the alley wine bar. The images fade into dying verse. When I try to make things better, I just make things worse. I'm awake at the dawn, my darling is gone, a long time gone. A sliver in the morning sky, and I drift alone and wonder why I got so wrapped up in you when you turned my world black and blue. I'm awake at the dawn, the darling is gone, a long time gone. Leave your fingertips. I'm caught between the highway blues, a cold apartment, empty bottle of booze. I'm awake at the dawn, the darling is gone, a long time gone. The darling is gone, a long time gone. Thanks a lot, thank you. It's good to be here, Black Ankle. Hope you all staying cool out there.